So this should be interesting. I am talking over a speed paint because this is actually sped up, if I'm not mistaken, 16 times the original. So we're going to blitz through this in 8 minutes. The original activities were, is that right? 16? Yeah, it probably was like about an hour and a half. It's pretty long. So I had these 4 frames that were taken out of OpenTunes that I had drawn a long time ago. And so in the previous video, what I did was I went through and I created the tweens in between this these 4 drawings. And once I had created the tweens and had all the action pretty much the way I wanted it, I went ahead and now I'm going into the inking process. So basically the way I normally do that in Krita is take the layer that has the pencil test, just make it mostly transparent, just turn the opacity down, and then trace over it. So pretty straightforward here. You can see me fiddling a bit with the hair. That's, you know, with Zen, I've noticed that if I don't get the hair right, it doesn't look like him. And I've kind of alluded to this in other videos, but I'm still in this sort of ongoing process of getting to know my own characters. So my parrot just said, "Whoa!" I don't know what happened over there, but apparently it was something scary or something. So I don't know what to say here. You know, I've done for the films I've produced, I've done director's commentaries where you sit and you just, usually with one of the main actors from the movie, you know, you sit and you just go through the movie and talk about what was going on behind the scenes and that sort of thing. Here, I don't know, man. It's going by pretty fast. So part of the challenge also was his anatomy. Getting his, you know, because it's like he's a beefy guy, but we don't want to make him too beefy. So the first thing I did here was I actually tweaked his eyes, baked the shadows in, and then I really wanted, when he looks down and says Akari the first time, because she obviously is knocked out. He pretty much clocked her accidentally with his elbow while he was getting ready to dispatch the ninja guy. And so I figured the first time he looks at her and says, you know, Akari, I'll dart his pupils a little bit, so the irises of his eyes kind of dart around a little bit. So what I was doing here basically was, it's kind of hard to describe, but what I did was I took the drawing, like this drawing right here, that I thought, this is pretty good. This looks the way I want it to look. So what I did was I copied the frame that I liked into a layer over top of it, and figured, okay, I have to scale it up and stuff like that, but that's okay, because if it gets fuzzy, I'll just retrace it. But the basic idea being that once I've got one drawing of the character that I like, just go ahead and scale it up and move it around and cut them into pieces, do whatever I have to do, so that drawing can at least be a guide, even if I can't completely reuse it, you know, like crazy. So the painting process, I started out doing it in behind mode, but you know what? It didn't take very long before I went back to what seems to usually work the best, which is put your shadows, put your fills, you know, your paint and your ink all in separate layers. It just is easier. So I don't know when I get to it here, but one of the things I bumped into was that I realized that I had changed his hair. So that's kind of why I mentioned that, because I actually got most of the way through it and then realized that, you know, it's like I'm hurrying and right there. You see his hair all of a sudden gets short. It's like he got a haircut between these two frames. And there's a problem too. See, that's another thing I had to address. I realized he's just a little too bulky. So if we get to it here, we'll see how I fix that. I think mostly I pretty much was using the liquify tool. I did the liquify tool on the outlines, and then I just went in and did some judicious erasing of the fills to make it all line up. So, the thing I'm a little confused about is this has been sped up twice, so I had to take a bunch of video clips, speed them all up, render it out, and then speed it up again. Otherwise, it was still going to be too long. So there's see what I'm saying? I took the sculpting him with the liquify tool, and then of course now the fills are not quite right. So then I had to go in there with the eraser, and then right here I realized I've got to narrow his neck and turn down his oh darn it. Oh, I feel like an idiot. What is the muscle that connects your neck to your shoulders? Traps. Sorry, trapezius. Just had a brain fart. Yeah, so there you go. So what I did was I put a fix for his hair on a completely separate layer so that I could just scale and rotate it from frame to frame. So you'll see, I think that's coming up here. Yeah, see. So I sort of painted it in, but once I had what I liked, you see I made it into a layer, and then just keep moving and adjusting. You know, obviously, as you can see, I had to sort of clean up the drawing it was made from. But yeah, this just goes to show if you get something wrong and then you start duplicating the frame and reusing it, well, now you get a situation where you've got something that's wrong like 100 times. So anyway, that's what I did with his hair, and so now here is the finished shot. I'm going to let this run 3 times in a row, by the way.